mean to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
6:01, we're counting Tim Marchant is here because he's out in his car getting his computer. So Stan is the only one absent. You are up.
All right, Jesse, can you take this Acrobat off, please? And why it's tomorrow, help me get that totally out of there because I couldn't pop it off. So, all right, goal setting. So, as far as format, nothing's changed in terms of goals. We still look at student achievement as one of our four main silos, and under academic achievement along with behavioral. We want schools to be safe and welcoming. Number one. Number two, we want every student to have a sense of belonging. Number three, academic achievement / behavioral support systems and success. And four, positive future for every student. So if we take those four, break those over 6 domains, starting with student achievement, and this correlates directly with our 5-year plan. Everybody should have a 5-year plan. Most of you have seen it. That was reviewed. We built that in 2021. Our 5-year plan ends 25-26. At the end of the 26 school year is when we should have met our 5-year goals. Now, that was also used for our ISAP, our comprehensive needs assessment with OPI this year. As far as accreditation goes, we were every school passed accreditations with I don't know what was the proficiently. What's the word? Anyway, we passed all 3. So there was one that had one abbreviation, but overall everything was fine for all 3 schools. And even with our academic achievement, looking at some of the even some of the local schools around us, they're under needs of improvement plans. That's ultimately what you avoid, is the state OPI overseeing what we do, how we do it, and having to be accountable for everything that we do and how we do it. So why is accreditation important? It's so that we can continue to educate students in the best way we feel for our students. So student achievement, you'll go through these. Hopefully everybody's had a chance. We want to increase. Now this year was interesting. We took the mass testing, which didn't tell us a whole lot, especially since it doesn't correlate or match up to overall tests that we've had in the past. So the SBACs do not correlate with the mass testing one way or another. And so mass was a pilot. And this year we just said we took the total number of students with the percent correct or percent partial correct. Now, the great part about that is it does not tell you percent partial correct. I mean, correct is correct. Partial correct, was it 10% correct? Was it 90% correct? And they were unable, they really didn't give you that classification. So you took these questions. If they felt it was partially correct, they gave you some partially, or it was completely incorrect. So you basically had a thumbs up, sideways, or thumbs down, if you want to correlate it that way. So this is everybody that was halfway or thumbs up. And we just took each one of those for ELA and math and took it for comparison. Now, are they going to do the same exact thing next year with this partial correct? I don't know. I would hope they either go with the same, or they just give us a proficiency that we can compare annually. And even though it's nice to know that they were partial, I would say it's very similar to nearing proficiency in the past. But in the past, it was a 4-point scale. Now it's a 3-point scale, and either on or off or in the middle. So
were these goals? Was that like a national average, or who set these goals? This is our first year.
this is the first year.
Right, but who set this goal percentage? I mean, is that just random?
That's just 10. Our only percent was
It's just
to
10%
increase
over
it,
everything.
10% over everything. Yeah. The goal is just basically 10% of
Okay, I see.
those two, and we just did it for everything. So it just gives you an idea. Third grade ELA informational was 57, ELA literacy 52. You can go through fourth grade, all pretty consistent. You know, sixth grade, they shine pretty high, 58%, 63%, probably the highest of the district. Sixth grade, and then seventh grade, eighth grade, probably the tougher of the two. ELA informational was 39.7, ELA literacy 42.5. ELA literacy, eighth graders were all-time low of the 3.8, with a goal of 39. Elementary overall math was 43.8 with a goal of 53. Going through those scores, third grade, fourth grade was a bit low. Fifth grade looked good. Sixth grade was the highest of the district. Seventh grade, kind of consistent with the fourth, and eighth grade, the lowest in that area. So middle school ELA and math, still a concern. ACT scores, our goal of 19, which was kind of our consistency number pre-COVID. ACT, last year's juniors, science was the strongest of all areas in comparison to the state. Math was our lowest, and reading was actually really almost as high as science. So reading in the high school increases to a 1.7 difference between the state. English is an area of concern. Composite overall, we're working to get back to that 19 where we were pre-COVID, and math still an area of concern. 5 dropouts last year. Goal of other goals in terms of not just percentages, but overall, we want every student to read proficiently by the end of the third grade with 80% proficiency. Summer program priorities, K3 to reach that goal. It's getting tougher and tougher for summer and after school programs. But we were able to at least offer 2 weeks this last summer. So 2-3 weeks is about what we can afford to continue to do. We weren't able to cash in on the early literacy money, which was $1,500 per student. That money could only be spent in July and August, and our programs traditionally always ran in June, so we either need to shift to July, August, or continue to offer at our own costs in June. So even though that was a nice incentive, it still is very difficult to offer without funding. So share data with everybody over the the board, especially annually. Look at our CTE certifications, our school to work courses, diploma cords. I thought was a great touch. Obviously, our senior project. The high school is continuing to work with the CTE action plans, encourage CTE options, right alongside the importance of college readiness. Career tech education is something we also want to integrate in terms of and expand our curriculum options as much as possible. Academic achievement, we want everybody to give semester pre-test and compare it to their post-test at the beginning of the semester, evaluate students, and at the end of every semester, evaluate students in terms of high school, making sure, since we don't have academic achievement for 9th, 10th, 11th grade outside of the ACTs, we want teachers to measure pre and post, if anything, for nothing else, to support themselves when it comes to what did students learn, which is what we're striving for every student. Support the opportunities for extracurricular activities. We want to plan to integrate more drama, performing arts, speech, and debate. Academic achievement will be our biggest priority for 24-25. School discipline, school attendance efforts will be evaluated by every school to increase achievement efforts. This is the one that was added outside of the change in assessments, but to increase our career exploration and skills for all students and pathways with a focus kindergarten through 12th grade. Every student in every grade exploring and expanding job skills for a better prepared student for their future. Any questions about academic achievement?
We have a plan for like English and math, how to direct correlation, getting those numbers up. What do we have coming up?
We have new reading curriculum that we purchased, but we've had that same reading curriculum for the past 2 years and haven't seen it help, but we're purchasing it again.
In the middle school, right?
Yeah, in the middle school. Outside of that,
Math. No new curriculum or no.
no. Anything else? Middle school English, math?
It's a new curriculum this year. We have a focus on PLC, stuff that we've talked about a little bit previous year, where teachers are redoing their standards, 8 to 10, focus, anchor standards. That was basically half of last year. We've got the focus on that. We're doing a revamp on sort of the MBI, PSI, MTSS world. Not a revamp, just a rework. Those Monday mornings, that's PD every week, right? So we should be good as far as having a schedule full off for a year to help everybody get there. Half of our math department went to the national conference last year, the National Math Conference. We were doing the Character Strong advisory, so that's start our weekly advisory, middle school through high school. Middle school is getting trained on Thursday, all the new teachers. Just a more of a focus on how to set up our schedules. So those morning, Tuesday enrichment, Wednesday advisory, Thursday like a student help time. We're hoping to continue to keep study tables to support student learning, but we've run into some funding issues there, so we want to open that up to everybody, not just athletes. That'll be the goal this year. That's a huge help when students show up for that, for sure.
Right.
And then continuing to do the MTSS process and catch students before they fall through the cracks. Hopefully, able to get parents in when kids are falling behind. And the biggest battle is attendance. If we have 95% attendance, all this stuff would work itself out. But we've fallen dramatically since COVID, and we're still dealing with the aftermath of that.
I'm sorry.
Well, good.
Part of it's also discipline and attendance efforts. I'm guessing eighth grade scores, I haven't held them up to the light, but they probably reflect discipline referrals also. I mean, you know,
They usually correlate.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I was just curious about what do we do about that? I mean, it seems like discipline is a part of bringing these scores. And I'm just curious if we have a new plan or.
We're trying to look at MBI, traditional MBI now through MTSS, which is our behavioral intervention systems, and a revisit to those systems needs to happen. And we need to get back to system approach to everything we do. So MTSS is really our only grasp for what traditionally was Swiss, looking at that discipline data. So we're hoping to reemphasize, we've had the systems evaluated. All three schools will be looking at their BOQ scores, and at least it gives us something to strive to increase those systems again, where we had accountability from an outside source over the years. And now we do have that, which kind of leads into the next section, but I don't want to move on without answering your question. So.
Well, that goes along with kind of what I asked last year. I mean, every time we hear a report from principal that discipline rate for that certain class kept increasing dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that correlates with the scores, because not only the kids that are causing the discipline actions, but they're also affecting the learning environment of the rest of the students. So, I mean, that's what I asked last year, is how can we improve our discipline plan or our strategy to be able to combat that distraction of learning. I know in the past we've kind of tried to combat that with the addition of Mr. Ricard, and I know he's not going to be available anymore. So that's kind of my concern, is how can we get creative thinking on taking those distractions out of class or keeping them on task.
$1 million question.
I can only touch on it with the fact that we have been evaluated and systems do need to improve. I mean, that to delve deep into this is going to take more than the half hour we have set up. So I hate to say keep moving on, but do you want to touch on it quickly this year?
I'm just saying it'd be nice though for us to have that in front of our heads thinking moving forward. I don't need an answer or what you're planning, or I don't expect a full-blown plan or answer right now, but that's definitely a problem area we need to try to attack.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with that.
Yeah.
If you want to talk class by class, our 8th grade class last year, 10 out of the 26 students are special ed. You know, all the things that come along with that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you took that number anywhere else, right, that's a pretty astronomical number to try and deal with. So you have to deal with that, along with trying to mix things that students need in the regular ed setting, in the special ed setting. Usually behavior scores for males equate to reading as well, not being able to read, or having struggles reading. We know that that's not always the case with our students. We have some students that are impressive readers and still have a lot of stuff going on, with that. Attendance is a problem. Kids miss, they fall behind, they come back, they're even more behind. You dig yourself a hole that you can't get out of, and you don't know how to move forward. You're always trying to climb out, and it becomes overwhelming. And that shows up in ways of, in different forms of misbehavior in the classroom. We're definitely trying to clean up tier 1, which is what it looks like to be a teacher and how you lay that out. We had a big focus last spring before we left, and that's going to be our focus here the next 3 days. Positive reinforcement, discipline, how to handle that, improving instruction in the classroom, how to set up systems for the year, make sure that's withstanding. Working with Mr. Mesmer on a classroom walkthrough to adjust every one of those things that we're working on. So all that stuff is a focus and a priority.
So leading into leadership, and this kind of is, if it's a subway to, or I guess leaning into from one area to the next in terms of academics, leadership, and our focus, our leadership team, taking our MTSS scores and our BOQ evaluation in terms of, if this helps at all in terms of measurement of our systems. We had an outside evaluator come in, go through our MBI system, old MBI systems, which are now the MTSS systems, and give us a score on all of our systems in behavioral and academic worlds. This was strictly the admin team's input, but I think our admin team's honest and knows, where the areas are that we need to improve. So it was nice to at least get an idea, answer the questions, where are we in tier 1 behavioral interventions? Where, are we a 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3? We had a lot of areas that we were able to answer for ourselves in terms of we're at a 2 out of 3, we feel. Obviously, we're striving for a 3 out of 3. Elementary, high school, middle school, everybody's pretty consistent, and we were in that 65 to 67% at that 2 out of 3 zone in much of our system. Some I think we would be 3 out of 3, some 1 out of 3, but overall we're at a 2 out of 3 at this point, and our goal is to increase that BOQ score by at least 10%, if not more, with the revisit, the reboot. I think it'll be helpful having the walkthrough system, being able to check systems, behavioral and academically. But academics is number 1 along with behavior. They all go hand in hand. Attendance, those, you take those 3 things, and I know if we break it down, there is a correlation for all 3. But when we used to be, at the state average for all of our groups and subgroups, we've slipped, and we need to get that back. I think COVID hit us harder than it does other places in Montana, and for whatever reason, we academically we're lower than we need to be, and our goal is to get us back to where we were. So MTS leadership teams at all levels, that's our PLCs, continue the exit survey, continue to use the assessment tools of pre, post, and summative evaluations. separate our process from our product and our progress. Progress is important to show that we're growing. Process is important for how we behave and all of the attributes that go into being a good student, but product is what counts when it comes to academic achievement and being able to say students were taught and they, in terms of learning, they're at where they need to be for every class, and every class needs to contribute to math, writing, reading, those important parts that that'll make a difference for assessments and statewide assessments and grading in terms of comparison to the state. Administration will spend more time in the classrooms to assure improvement of academic achievement at all levels. Communicate with staff when needed improvement is necessary. Be open and honest with communicating with all staff. Support educators to improve practice procedures, expectations, goals, instruction, outcomes with their team. School administrators will meet once a week to review goals. That's one area that I said last year I needed to improve upon. So we will meet once a week and hopefully make the improvements needed. Improve systems with data-driven decision making. Fully integrate data-driven decision making. You cannot measure enough in terms of academic, behavioral, social, emotional, how students feel about their school district are imperative, and there cannot be enough data measured if you want to see improvements. So what gets measured gets done. We need to set goals and monitor those data points. If there's one thing I've experienced in my administrative career is that one point that it takes data. You got to watch your data. You've got to make goals to improve. And when you do that, you put a number to it and you follow through with that, things will get better. So as a leadership team, driving our decisions with data is a goal. Number one. Number two, obviously, increase academically and our BOQ behaviorally. And BOQ goes along with academic and behavioral, but attendance, academic achievement, discipline, that's our goal. Any other parts we'd like to see added to leadership?
BOQ.
BOQ stands for benchmarks of quality.
Benchmark of quality.
Yeah.
Benchmarks of quality.
Benchmark of quality. And we've got pages and pages and pages of data.
I think I saw that.
Yeah. So I did share it. It was in our end of the year report, but where we're at was all in the end of the year report. The entire BOQ. Make sense? Good. Okay. Facilities and classroom needs. I think our facilities are where they need to be. We're finishing up the shop expansion. I think now just caring for our facilities, long-term goals. As far as I guess to sum up facilities, we've completed what we could fund with facilities. It really isn't the highest priority anymore. We're going to research grant opportunities to, hopefully get some teacher housing down the road, an auditorium, track. Those are all long-term goals. We don't have the money or the ability to do any of those big audacious goals at this point. But if we can find a grant, we built the building across the street with the grant. We can hopefully find more grant dollars out there to maybe build some teacher housing and do something for the arts in terms of an auditorium, and track will someday need some love. So anything facilities, classroom needs, we'll keep building cabinets. That'll be built in annually to complete 2 classroom cabinets in the elementary, just like we did the middle school to finish that up eventually.
We got one of those done already, right? Are they both?
We got 2.
They're both done.
Kindergarten and first.
Yes. So we got 1 done last summer, or 2 classrooms done last summer and 2 classrooms done this summer. We'll do 2 classrooms hopefully next summer, but the price is doubling every summer. So
My only concern last year was the bathroom facilities.
cleanliness or just fixed up.
Functional. cleanliness,
Yeah, the doors, I think the doors was a concern.
Privatized.
Yep. We did fix that. That was fixed as well. All right.
So since we do a quarterly walkthrough, is that, because this is my 4th meeting and we haven't done one. Are we talking quarterly per year or quarterly during the school year?
Quarterly should, usually during the school year. Yeah. And who's on building and grounds now?
I know I am.
Okay, so we need to do that actually soon, just to walk through summer jobs. So quarterly, like beginning of the summer, end of the summer, we set those class lists. You were not in our last one. That was JP. And we went through our summer list of things we wanted cleaned up, fixed. So we did that last spring, and now it'll be time to review summer, which probably needs to happen anytime in the next 3 weeks.
Researching grant opportunities, is that something that you do or is that teachers?
Anybody can do it.
Anybody can,
But-
but you are,
I've been the main grant writer, yeah.
we had any success with daycare?
No,
No.
no. And daycare is kind of stopped at the inability to find anybody willing to
Yeah.
be a freelance agent for us. That got put on
Did
hold.
we get any feedback from it? That
We didn't
they
hear-
want to do it because of this or that, or?
I just don't think there's anybody out there
It's
available
Chantel.
that was interested in doing it. I think it's gonna, what they want is to work for us to run. They don't want to run it themselves, so, and that costs money. So, yeah, that,
We advertised, so after the first round, when nobody picked it up, we advertised throughout the whole state of Montana. We got, the actual state of Montana involved, and I can't remember what the program is called at this time, I'm sorry, but they took it and they like blasted it to East Montana, to all the universities and put it on their job boards, and then they took it and did it to North Montana and West and everywhere, and nobody was interested in picking it up, so it just, we could try again, but
Have we looked at changing the approach of possibly using the discounted rate for those kids to supplement the salary for the person to actually run it?
I think that would be really good. I think we just have to make sure we follow the rules and the laws, especially if we operate at the school, right? There's different like hoops we have to jump through, so we have to explore that. Because we couldn't offer, do you guys remember we couldn't offer it as an incentive for like hiring teachers, for example, like if you come work for us, you get a discounted rate. We had to offer a scholarship. So it didn't break any rules. Does that make sense? Yeah, so we're open to exploring it. We still want to do it. It's still very needed in this area, but we just couldn't get anybody to pick it up.
That'd be worth a conversation with travel ed too.
Yeah.
And the economic development office.
So
The old Methodist church is for sale, but it's kind of spendy. You see that?
Yeah, how much is it?
Like 400 and some.
across the street.
Yep.
Yep, I did see that. I did think about that.
That's a good location.
That's a good location. It's right across the street from the school. Yeah.
we did submit a letter to James Steele, speaking of grants for community development, of some help with softball and baseball, but it was strictly for community development, which is really the only thing that would have qualified in terms of community development and what he explained his grant for.
Guidelines are.
Yeah, if there's an opportunity within that, we were going to include possibility of daycare in that grant, but we've just kind of hit until we can find someone to head it up.
The
I
department.
didn't want to include that in a grant that we can staff.
The Department of Health and Human Services has lots of grants for child care center owners. So if somebody would have picked it up, then they could have applied for a grant where they get back a certain amount of money, however much they spend on their facility. So fixing the facility up, like with grant money, wasn't really a concern of mine at the time because there were so many opportunities because they know Montana needs childcare. So they try to make it so that they can get a childcare center there. So it's out there. We just need someone to want to do.
Thanks.
Have you been exploring a partnership with ECS,
Who?
Early Childhood Services?
Yeah, I think as long as we're not in competition with them, have them contact us. You know, if there's somebody that we know get in touch with. Okay, so facilities, classroom needs, like I said, we've done well there. Not our biggest priority, but some long-term goals are still there. Community and communications, collaborate with as many surveys as possible for our staff, parents, and students. Taking that information with using the obviously we'll continue with the calendar committee. Attend to build positive relationships with the IEC and tribal education. We work real for years, still do with tribal ed. Called them today, told them I needed a flag. They told me they would deliver it tomorrow. So they're, those relationships are still open. IEC has been started, but we haven't been invited to the meetings yet. So I had no idea. I called last year when we were doing Title VI grant, and I said, well, I know we don't have an IEC. They said, yes, we do. And I said, really? Well, invite us. So we just need the invite to get, open those doors up again. I don't know who's in charge of it. The IEC Title VI was taken care of by tribal ed. We all attended a day up at Quatucknuck and completed expectations that way this year. But we need to find out who's in charge of the IEC, get our involvement back with them.
Should our stipend employee be the main
Yes,
coordinator of that?
we should. Yes.
Are they meeting now?
I have not heard.
Okay, because typically in the past when I've met with them, it's in the school building.
Yeah.
But we don't know if they're doing that or
Like I said, I don't even know who's in charge of it. So yeah, I do believe they're meeting, but I don't know who's heading it up. As far as MTSS expectations for community involvement, I think going back to those MBI days of did you know, signage downtown, information about the positive systems that we have going, all important parts of selling and continuing to improve our image with the public. The principals do a wonderful job with the positive web presence to best communicate, collaborate, and inform our constituents of the district news, information, and needed improvements. Obviously surveys are a big part of that, but the media seems to be the best outlet for that. But we need to let folks know, all the great things that we do as often and as much as possible. And like I said, principals do a great job with that. So anything on community or communications?
I had a concern, a couple of people, employees and townspeople, community members, talked to me about this, and I didn't know where we could go with it, but and I guess I'm willing to be the big bad wolf if I have to be, but one of my concerns have been brought up to me are our image in main offices. Those are off-putting places for community members sometimes. They're expecting confidentiality and I know this is tough. We're a community who lives together and works together. I get it. But I'm just thinking that those spaces, those office spaces should be for office work and not have kids or lunch crews or whatever they are. And just, because it's not only do people have work to do, but there's that confidentiality and the people who maybe don't even want to be in the school building already, right? Coming to those windows and where there's more people in here than I want to. And I don't know where we put that. It seems a culture and climate thing, maybe community relations, but I'm just, and I know it's tough. I get it. Work happens as life goes on, but life goes on as work happens. But just wondering if we can look towards keeping those places maybe a little more private, a little more welcoming. I've just seen that, people are going, well, there's a lot more people in here than I didn't want to come to school in the first place. And here I am with a crowd of folks, especially if there's confidentiality. It's just, things get said. And if kids are around and people that don't belong in there, that's a bad thing. Anyway, that's just one thought that I would make, and I don't know if goal area 4, goal area 5. I don't know where we go, if it needs to go in here, but it's just a concern.
Okay, I will add. I heard it, principals heard it. I'll get it added. I would like less people in my office.
Yeah, no,
Often.
yeah.
So that's actually great.
Yeah, and I don't want people not to get together, there's
No, I know what you mean.
places other than
No,
that.
I'm kidding, but I guess I
preserve
got it.
preserve the culture and community without, while still maintaining that professional atmosphere.
Got it. Okay, student-centered positive climate and culture. This goes back to what started as MBI, now is MTSS, BOQ. We've got our agenda set. Our ideas for MTSS, our BOQ scores and results. We'll make as much effort as we possibly can for those outcomes to improve by the end of our 24-25 school year. We'll still have one group from each school present to the board and then improve our BOQ scores in all areas by 10% by the end of this year. Student-centered positive climate and culture. We've already spoken to the behavioral component of this. Is there anything else you'd like to see as a goal for our student-centered positive climate and culture? Good. All right. Resources and accountability. This is just continuing to find ways to build financial benefits. Since we've taken over, coming on 8 years? 9 this 9th year. We've doubled impact aid. We've added Medicaid billing. We've been able to utilize mills where we can to help with special ed and the costs, the high costs that we have. We've looked for every grants. We've built buildings with grants, trying to find creative funding opportunities. I don't think we've let a dollar pass that we haven't tried for creatively to garner additional funds for our district. I'd like to think that we've, paying for ourselves in funds that we work to create, and that's going to continue to be our goal. The main one we have here is to find creative ways to fund and support the district beyond normal funding expectations. I think we've done that. We'll continue to do that. We're going to apply for charter school status, which would be substantial funding for next year for at least 1 year. We're also working on as folks next door visit about a soft launch of Harmony, which could increase enrollment. And really the area of our biggest fiscal concern is the loss of students. Over the last 5 years, we had over 500 students. We're now just below 540, 447 to be exact. You take that number times average of $6,000 per student, it's a substantial amount of money. So A and B funding is what we're striving to increase to keep the district afloat. We're working to find ways to creatively increase A and B as religious sectors continue to move in and buy up the ranches and farms that in the past. I remember we had my first year as high school, or actually in the high school, working was in the mid 90s. We had 200 high school students, and now we're at 100. We finished the year with 124. So has the population in terms of outside sectors and now the homeschool movement, it's significant. I mean, it's significant. If you even talk high school from 1994 to 2024, 30 years, we've dropped that far, 70 plus students just in the high school. So it's substantial, it's real, and we need to combat that somehow, some way. So we'll do everything we can, but resources, accountability, certainty, anything else you'd like to add there?
I have a couple of questions. I have to tell you, to be honest, I had a bad case of buyer's remorse after I left the last board meeting. I just wasn't sure that Harmony was the thing that we needed to do. I've done some independent research, and to be honest, everything I've heard has been very good about it. So we haven't applied to be a charter school yet.
No, that application's due in November.
Oh, so we can start the year as a charter school without applying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Harmony is just a part of that application.
Right.
So it's not the entire application. Our career pathways will be the main focus of our charter.
The end of the sentence there where it says could mean substantial funding for the school district for at least 1 year. Is that the obligation we have with Harmony, or how?
No, the charter school and Harmony, so the 1 year is when we're talking about charters, right? So two parts. One, applying for the charter, which I've heard in Corvallis, they added it to their 3-year financial plan. If we're approved as a charter school, that means 533,000. That could be 1 year, because now I'm hearing rumors that you can only get that for 1 year. It was written into Corvallis's last year for 3 years, but now I'm hearing, which totally makes sense. I don't anticipate the state allowing this to go past 1 more year. It's going to break the state if they continue to roll it like they rolled it last year. They expected 3. There was 19 public schools and very few non-public schools that applied. So I'm guessing 100 or more schools apply this upcoming year. And if it is approved, take $500,000 times what was, let's say 19 were approved, that's 9 million on the short end. Now you take 50 million next year. I just don't see it. I don't see it possible. And which is why there's already rumors of only giving public charter schools 1 year, because they made a mistake and now they have no other recourse but to allow us all to apply, approve it. And I pretty much could guarantee the first item up for a block in the next legislative session will be charter schools, and charter schools, how they fully intended it to be, not with us.
I may have misread that then. I guess the question I have was, what sort of obligation do we have with Harmony right now? Do we have a 2-year contract, 3-year contract?
We have a 3-year, but we can dissolve it in 90 days if either one of us decide no longer to do it.
90 days from,
Whenever we just say no, we don't want to continue to do it.
90-day notice.
90-day notice, it's over.
and then finally, I happen to notice that this will be so a presentation to teachers tomorrow
Tomorrow morning.
on the optional PIR day. You're gonna
Yeah.
do that again on the regular PIR?
I'm going to touch on it,
Yeah.
but they have the opportunity to come watch it tomorrow.
But if they're obligated for something else. they're
Then
just-
we won't do optional next year. That's where it's headed.
So the October MEA days.
Everybody will go to it.
everybody-
No one wants to come to the optional days, why do it?
I'm not saying nobody, I'm just saying that there might be a few of other obligations and are gonna need that presentation again. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a-
But I'm not going to repeat the presentation twice. Yeah,
Is Colby gonna be here for that?
no.
Okay, yeah, that's all
Okay. So we did research. So I think that's, I mean, it's getting, systems of success. We won't leave, that's, part of our annual, but that's more just informational about the district. And you guys have all seen that for multiple months, for multiple years. And I don't think we need to touch any more on that. I'll add one agenda item, or one more goal to the list. And that concludes goal setting for the year. Thank you. If there's any more questions, please don't hesitate. Anytime, doors open. Come visit.
Okay, I'm gonna adjourn that first one. Okay,
How'd we do?
your goal setting is adjourned 6:54.
We do the budget in
20
6
minutes longer than I.
I can do the budget in 6 minutes.